Hi, I'm Murphy. I'm 65 years old, been a widower for 8 years now since my wife Linda passed from cancer. I spent most of my life working construction, building up a nice nest egg and paying off our family home in Riverside. It's worth about 800,000 now. My son Jake is 35 and up until 3 years ago we were tight as brothers. Every Sunday he'd come over for dinner, we'd watch the game, talk about everything. I helped him through college, co-signed his first apartment, even gave him 20,000 for his wedding when he married Sarah. That woman changed everything. Dad, you're being dramatic again. That's what Jake said last Tuesday when I called him from the emergency room. I'd been having chest pains all morning, couldn't catch my breath. It's Sarah's birthday tomorrow, remember? We've had these plans for months. Son, I'm in the hospital. The doctors are running tests on my heart. I know, but you're fine, right? I mean, you're talking to me. Sarah would absolutely kill me if I missed her party. She's been planning this thing forever. I sat there in that hospital bed watching the heart monitor beep while my own son chose a birthday party over me. Jake, when your mother was sick, you never left her side. That was different, Dad. Mom was actually dying. You just had some chest pains. Just some chest pains. Like the heart attack that killed my father at 68 started with just some chest pains, too. I raised you better than this. Look, I'll come by Sunday after the party, okay? We can catch up then. Sarah's already invited 30 people. Her whole family's flying in from Portland. I could hear Sarah in the background talking about decorations and some fancy restaurant reservation. Tell you what, Dad, Sarah says you can come to the party if you get discharged in time. It's at that new steakhouse downtown. I don't want to come to her party. I want my son to visit me in the hospital. You're being unreasonable. It's one night. The nurse came in to check my IV, shaking her head like she'd heard this conversation before. Fine, Jake, go to your party. Thanks, Dad, you're the best. I knew you'd understand, but I didn't understand. I hung up that phone and stared at the ceiling tiles, thinking about all those times I'd dropped everything when Jake needed help. When he got laid off 2 years ago, I paid his mortgage for 4 months. When Sarah wanted a new car, I co-signed the loan. The heart tests came back normal. Stress, the doctor said. Just stress causing chest pains in a lonely old man whose son picked a birthday party over his father's health scare. I spent that night alone, watching Jake's Instagram stories from Sarah's party. 30 people, fancy steakhouse, live band, champagne toasts. My son looked happy as hell. The next morning, I got discharged around 10. Jake didn't call to check on me, didn't text, nothing. I drove home feeling like garbage, both physically and emotionally. That's when I decided to swing by his house to grab the spare key he borrowed last month. I pulled into his driveway and heard voices coming from the backyard. Jake and Sarah were sitting on their deck having coffee like nothing happened. I can't believe your dad was being so dramatic yesterday. It's like he planned it just to ruin my birthday. Sarah, come on. He was actually in the hospital. For what? Chest pains? My grandmother gets those every week. He's just attention-seeking because he's lonely. I stood behind their fence, listening through the gaps in the wood. My own daughter-in-law calling me dramatic and attention-seeking. He's getting older, babe. Maybe we should visit more often. Why? So he can guilt-trip us about everything he's done for us? Jake, your dad's house is worth like 800 grand. When he kicks the bucket, we'll be set for life. My blood went cold. This woman was talking about my death like it was a retirement plan. Don't say stuff like that. What? It's true. That house is our inheritance. We just have to deal with his drama until then. Besides, he's 65. How much longer could he realistically have? Sarah, that's messed up. Is it? Your dad acts like we owe him everything because he helped us out a few times. Newsflash. That's what parents are supposed to do. But instead, he holds it over our heads constantly. He paid our mortgage for 4 months when I lost my job. And he reminds us every chance he gets. I'm sick of feeling guilty every time we want to live our own lives. Last night was perfect until he called with his fake emergency. Fake emergency. The woman called my heart scare a fake emergency. Maybe it wasn't fake. The doctor said his stress levels were really high. Of course they were. He probably worked himself up on purpose. Murphy can't stand that we're happy without him hovering around all the time. I'd heard enough. I walked around to their front door and rang the doorbell. Jake answered, looking surprised. Dad, how are you feeling? When did you get out? About an hour ago, came to get my spare key back. Oh yeah, sure, come in. Sarah appeared from the kitchen, putting on her fake smile. Murphy, how are you doing? We were so worried about you last night. Were you now? Of course. Jake felt terrible about missing your hospital visit, but you understand how important family celebrations are. Family celebrations. Like I wasn't family. Right. Well, I just need my key and I'll get out of your hair. Jake went upstairs to get it. Sarah and I stood there in awkward silence until she decided to keep talking. You know, Murphy, Jake and I were just discussing how we should spend more time together as a family. Is that what you were discussing? Yes, we really want to be there for you as you get older. The way she said, as you get older, made my skin crawl, like I was already halfway to the grave. Jake came back downstairs with my key just as I was pulling out my phone. Here you go, Dad. Sorry I had to borrow it so long. No problem. Actually, I need to make a quick call. Mind if I step outside? I dialed Tom Rodriguez, the real estate agent who'd been bugging me for 2 years about selling. Tom, it's Murphy Williams. You still interested in that cash offer you mentioned? Murphy, absolutely. My buyer's still very interested. When can we schedule a walkthrough? How about today? I want this done fast. Today, are you sure? This is a big decision. I'm sure. 800,000, cash, no inspections, close in 2 weeks. That's exactly what they're offering. I'll call them right now. I hung up and walked back inside. Jake was in the kitchen with Sarah, both looking at me weird. Dad, who are you calling? Real estate agent. What for? Selling the house. The coffee mug in Sarah's hand hit the floor and shattered. Jake's face went white. You're what? Selling the house, got a cash offer, closing in 2 weeks. Dad, you can't be serious. That's the family home. I can do whatever I want with my property. Sarah started picking up the broken pieces, her hands shaking. Murphy, this is so sudden. Don't you think you should discuss major decisions like this with family? Family? You mean the family that calls my heart problems fake emergencies? Jake looked confused. What are you talking about? I heard you two this morning, every word. How I'm attention-seeking, how I'm dramatic, how you're just waiting for me to die so you can cash in. Sarah dropped the ceramic pieces she was holding. Murphy, you misunderstood. I never said those things. You said I planned my hospital visit to ruin your birthday. You said my house is your inheritance and you just have to deal with my drama until I kick the bucket. Jake turned to look at his wife. Sarah, did you really say that? I was frustrated. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. How else could you mean it? You literally said you're sick of feeling guilty when you want to live your own lives. Jake sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs. Dad, I'm sorry. Sarah was just venting. She doesn't really feel that way. Actually, she does, and apparently so do you. You chose her birthday party over your father's health crisis. It wasn't a crisis. You're fine. That's not the point. The point is you didn't know that when you made your choice. Sarah finally found her voice again. Murphy, I apologize if I said things that hurt your feelings. Save it. I don't want your apology. Tom called back while we were talking. I answered right in front of them. Murphy, great news. They accept all terms. We can sign papers tomorrow morning. Perfect. I'll be there at 9. Jake grabbed my arm as I hung up. Dad, you're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was thinking you'd change back into the son I raised. I pulled my arm away from Jake and walked toward the door. Sarah was crying now, but I didn't care anymore. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my new condo downtown. The house sale went through without a hitch. Jake called me every day for 2 weeks straight. I didn't answer. My sister Rita came over to help me unpack. So you really did it. You actually sold the house. Best decision I ever made. Look at this place, Rita. I got a pool, a gym, security. What about Jake? He's been calling me nonstop. What about him? He lost his job last week. Sarah's pregnant. Good for them. They'll figure it out. My phone buzzed. Text from Jake. Dad, Sarah's pregnant. We need to talk. I showed the message to Rita. See, now that they need something, suddenly it's time to talk. I recorded their conversation that morning, Rita. I played the recording. Rita's face changed as she listened to Sarah calling me attention-seeking and talking about waiting for me to die. Oh my God, she actually said that. Every word. And Jake just sat there. I'm calling Helen and Frank right now. Rita put Jake's aunt and uncle on speaker and played the recording. That little witch. We always knew she was trouble. Frank and I are driving over there right now. 2 days later, Rita called me back. The whole family knows now. Helen and Frank confronted Sarah at a family barbecue, played your recording for everyone. Good. Jake tried to defend her, but nobody's buying it. My phone rang. Jake again. What do you want? I screwed up. Sarah and I are having problems, and I lost my job. I need help. You need help? 3 weeks ago, you had it made. Inheritance coming your way. Dad, I'm sorry. I should have been there for you in the hospital. You should have been there your whole life, not just when you need something. Can we meet? Just to talk? No. Dad, please, I'm your son. My son died the night he chose a birthday party over his father's health. I hung up and blocked his number. Rita looked at me sadly. You really done with him? I'm done being taken for granted. I joined a bowling league, Rita, and I'm volunteering at the animal shelter twice a week. That sounds nice. For the first time in years, I'm around people who actually appreciate me being there. The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. Murphy, I've got the charity donation paperwork ready. You sure about giving away $200,000? Positive. Split it between the children's hospital and the animal shelter. That afternoon, Jake showed up at my condo building. The security guard called up. Mr. Williams, there's a Jake Williams here to see you. Tell him I'm not available. I watched from my window as Jake walked back to his car. Sarah was in the passenger seat, probably hoping I'd cave and help them out. Not happening. I had a new life now, and it didn't include people who only valued me for what I could give them. Murphy's story ends here, but I want to know, was he right to cut Jake off completely? Some of you are probably thinking he should have given his son another chance, especially with a grandchild on the way. Others might say Jake and Sarah got exactly what they deserved for treating him like a walking ATM. But here's the real question that's bugging me. Do you think Murphy should have told Jake about selling the house beforehand, or was the shock factor justified? Was this brilliant revenge, or did he go too far? And what about Sarah? She's pregnant now, struggling financially, and the whole family knows what she really thinks. Did she deserve to have her reputation destroyed, or was she just being honest about her frustrations? The thing is, we've all been in Murphy's shoes at some point, feeling taken for granted by people we love. But we've also probably been Jake too, making selfish choices and hurting people without realizing it. So tell me in the comments, Team Murphy or Team Jake? Should family always get second chances? Or are there some lines you just don't cross? If this story got you thinking, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories that'll make you question everything. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.